Hello and welcome back to Dicebreaker and Deadlands, the Weird West. This is our continuing little mini-series as we are on a season break from Dungeon Breaker. We have a preview copy of Deadlands, the Weird West, the next edition of long-running Weird West cowboy RPG Deadlands, and so we decided to play it for your amusement. There are already 3 episodes. If you've not seen those, maybe consider doing that. But if you're feeling brave and you want to just jump straight in, our posse of heroes is on the road from a cave where they just lifted a curse on some gold and got some gold also. But they have found their way barred by a local ne'er-do-well called Buck and his posse of friends, we'll call them. Buck was recently robbed by one of our group.
The back of that hat is even funnier than the front.
The culprit was none other than one Charles P McGinty.
Can't believe
Charles, you are on your steed, and Buck is just fixing you with a steely gaze. He says, "I believe you have something of mine."
Other than your greatest wishes and a desire for your own well-being, I really don't know what you're talking about, Buck. Fancy seeing you out here in the middle of nowhere. I don't really know what you're here for, but I can try and help you whatever way I can.
Whilst Charles is talking, I'd like to just rest my hand on my pistol, very subtly, so they don't maybe notice it. But just so I'm ready if anything goes down.
They do not notice. Buck is too focused on McGinty. So, well, it's very simple. You can just give me up the gold, and you can furthermore get down off that horse, stand 10 paces away from me, and get gunned down in a duel. I'm calling you out, stranger.
I mean, I don't know. Number one, it's actually a mule, not a horse. Number two...
You can say mule, not a jewel there. We mule at dawn.
Number two, I don't know why you're calling me a stranger. We know each other, Buck. We've had a fair share of good times. I really don't know why you're accusing me of having anything of yours. I think we came to an agreement that you could take the gold and I would just go off and do my own sort of thing. So I really think this is some big misunderstanding. Are you sure you didn't just mislaid this gold?
Well, we certainly did agree that I could keep the gold, but then it seems that was an agreement you were only too happy to go back on. Seems to me, remember, you gave me an encouraging pat on the arm there, and, well, looks like I was watching the wrong hand, huh?
Well, now, listen here, son. Are you making an allegation or are you not?
I'm doing more than an allegation. I'm calling you out, McGinty.
No. And Charles points to the Reverend.
Pastor, thanks.
Sorry. Pastor. And he says, now, a man of the church has just informed you that perhaps your accusation may be unfounded. Surely a man of such distinction and standing is enough to convince you that maybe you may be misguided in your accusation against me.
Buck turns his gaze to land on the pastor. He says, "Padre, you're running with some strange folk, let me tell you that. But listen, much as you want to tell me I'm mistaken, I don't need evidence. I don't need proof anymore. This is a matter of honor. And I'm telling you, you want to get down off that, mule? Was it? You want to get down off that thing and take this jewel here. Otherwise, well, you ain't just a lying, cheating, stealing son of a bitch. You're a coward, too. And if...
Look, boy, there isn't a shred of honor in this entire arrangement right here. Now, I'll tell you what. You may not know what me and my companions have been up to in this past, well, call it 2 hours now. But let me tell you, there have been some difficult goings-on that you have been benefiting from without y'all knowing about it. But you've been riding over here on your hellhound, telling us all about how high and mighty you are. Now, let me tell you, if you come over here and shoot these fine fellows, you'll just be putting yourself in a worse position. If you want to talk about it like a gentleman, like a man, then we can. You want to stand there and shoot your gun about so you can look big in front of your padres, well, that's another situation.
Can Jackie
Yeah?
step in now and go, Father, allow me to handle this?
Oh, God.
And then
Oh boy.
look at Buck and go, now, Buck, I'd like to suggest let's say a replacement deal that I think you may have found quite tempting. So I'd like to kind of gesture towards my bag or satchel as if to say, I'm not going to pull a gun. Can I, retrieve the objects I'm looking for? Okay. So Jackie slowly reaches into their bag and pulls out 2 sticks of dynamite in the shape of a cross. And goes, now, the suggestion is this. You can allow me and my compadres here to ride on by and continue without the gold that we took from you. I promise you that. Or I can blow us all sky high. And believe you me when I say that is not as much of a danger to me as it may be for you.
The entire posse is like, what the hell? Like, suddenly they're skittish and their horses are, like, doing that little sideways thing. They're like, damn. So,
Just
Charles.
horse things.
just horse things. They're just doing horse things. Eat, nay, love.
Charles pipes up and straightens up in his saddle, and he says, I don't think you men realize who you've come across here. And he gestures to
It's
Jackie
me,
Daniels.
Howdy.
Yeah, there's Howdy. And he gestures to Jackie Daniels and says, this man here, you might know him as a lone ranger, but his name is whispered among the trees, among the mouths of every person that ever crossed him before their last dying breath. This if you can call him a man, he's barely a beast. He is to be feared, and he has absolutely no care for his own life if he can cause the destruction of other people.
Sorry.
So I would step mightily carefully around him. I mean, he's brandishing that dynamite. Do you really want to cross him for what seems to be a pure misunderstanding? Please, I fear him. Please do not cause him to explode in wrath.
Okay, I would like both of you to make me... you know what, Jackie, you're making an intimidate check. And McGinty, you're making a persuasion check.
Can I do persuasion as well?
Yeah, go on then.
I was telling him to shut up.
Intimidate be one. Oh, can I use any chance I can make it a taunt roll, Marshall?
That would make an attack, wouldn't it?
Oh, okay. I don't have the
should I
intimidation skill.
Should I do intimidate as well because I said my name?
Yeah, go on then.
Said my name.
Sure.
Oh, I I just got 2 exploding 6s on my
Dang.
persuasion, by the way.
I did not
Uh,
get anything.
I rolled a
How
16.
weird.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Okay.
I rolled a 7.
I rolled a 1 and a 2.
I rolled a 2 and a 3. These fellas don't seem to know who I am.
Oh, you did do your roll, did you?
They just think you're saying hi.
Yeah, they're like, hello. They. So, to be honest with you, they're kind of all looking at you, being like, "He's not gonna blow us all sky high." They just don't. They ain't buying it. They ain't buying what you're selling. But the mood does seem to have sort of changed from one of righteous indignation to unease. Like one of the gang members was like, "Buck, maybe we should leave it. I mean, you sure it's really worth this?" Buck's like, he points at Jackie Daniels like, "That one just admitted they've got the gold, that they stole it. I mean,
I believe you may have been mistaken. I said we did not have your gold anymore. I mean, we did not have your gold at any point."
As you can see, this man is he has a mysterious way of expressing himself. What he's trying to say is we do not have anything worth your potential demise, which he might bring out any moment. And Charles is going to cringe away from Jackie Daniels very dramatically.
Okay. The fight's kind of gone out of Buck at this point. He points at you, McGinty. He's like, "If I ever see you again, you're a dead man." And he is going to sort of turn his horse, and he turns his horse, and they all turn to ride back to town, and then they kind of stop, and they're like, "Ooh," and then their horses just split into 2 groups, and they charge off the road away into the brush and into the hills, because coming up the road towards you, behind where they were, is a very large cloud of dust, because there is a group of about 20 men on horseback riding toward you at speed.
Charles quickly shouts out, "Oh God, they finally found me!" And he jumps off the wheel and starts like burying himself in the dirt, like
Like one of those spiders.
a bunch of brushes. Yeah, he's like pulling dirt over himself, like rolling deeper into it, like some sort of burrowing insect.
While you're doing this, can I position old Samuel and just give old Samuel a slight tap with my foot so that old Samuel starts kicking more dirt onto you as well? So I'm just helping.
That would normally be an animal handling or a riding check, but that's just brilliant. So I'm going to let you have that.
Yeah.
In fact, you can have a Benny for trying to get the horse to cover him up.
Thank you kindly.
Charles also yells at the mule, going, "Go on, get it!"
Get out
With
of
mouth full of dirt.
Like Howdy's just sat on his horse, and he like just lets out a sigh, and goes for like a small thing of whiskey and just takes a big old gulp because he's just like,
Pastor
not this
John,
again.
Pastor John Virtue, I'm just going to remain in the center of the road and just sort of put a friendly welcoming hand up to say hello. Like, let's stop and talk what's going on.
Okay.
Kind of non-threatening. I'm not armed. I am armed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not armed.
You're armed, you're not armed.
You're not heavily armed. Okay. So as the dust cloud approaches, you do indeed pick out the figures on horseback have little shiny metal objects on their jackets that, of course, you recognize as tin stars. And as they pull up, 20 rifles are drawn and pointed straight at you, Virtue. Everyone get your hands up.
I put the other hand up.
I take the dynamite down. Actually, no. I hold the dynamite straight up in the air.
One of them's like, drop it or I will put you in the dirt.
I would suggest that I do not drop this, but if you will allow me to return it...
Put the dynamite down, will ya?
No, all I mean is I will return it slowly to my bag if I am so permitted. You do not wish for me to drop this, otherwise you will be hit by flying parts of old Samuel here.
Slowly.
What the hell kind of dynamite are you wielding anyway?
The effective kind. It's more effective than that there book of yours anyway.
Meow.
A man gets off his horse, and he walks slowly over to the dirt where Charles P McGinty is lying. He says,
Big mound.
"Get up! You're embarrassing yourself."
You hear muffled. I don't know what you're talking about, my dear.
He points a finger at one of the men in the posse. He's like, "Come here." A man walks over to the first guy. And it's like, "That's him! That's him! I recognize the man! That's the one who sold me that phony rock!" And another man on horseback, he unrolls a poster and goes, "Yeah, it's him." And the first man who is standing over you says, "Charles P McGinty, you are under arrest for swindling, for lying, cheating, stealing, and being a general nuisance to people in this state and others."
I really don't know who this Charles fella is. My name is Beverly Bonson.
Sheriff, I think you're mistaken here. This is actually Beverly Bonson. I don't know.
It's entirely true. My name is Beverly, but I've never heard of this Charles fella before. I believe you got mistaken. I was just taking a wonderful mud bath here, and
Beverly Bonson, alias Carl Carson, alias Charles P McGinty. Listen, you've reached the end of the line, McGinty. You're coming with us now.
damn, I really knew I should have made those aliases a little bit more imaginative.
He reaches into the mud pile and pulls you out and starts tying your hands behind your back. He's like,
Shakes you off like
"Hey, well, if it means anything to you, you had a pretty good run there." And then he hits you on the back with an elbow, and you're knocked to your knees.
Oh, Jesus.
And very roughly, you are picked up by a big son of a gun and put on the back of a horse.
Now, I really do protest this treatment. I don't know what you're talking about with swindling and stealing. I'm just a businessman. I've never even thought of doing those things. Pastor, speak on my behalf. You know of my honorable nature and my moral virtue.
Well, now, let's all calm down here. Sheriff, is it? Now, I'm not sure if you're from around these parts. We're from a local town. Now, I must admit, I don't know Charles that well. Whatever he got up to before we became partners, or if that's the word you would like to use, then yes, he may have been doing some untoward things. But now let me just make you aware, he is a savior of this town. This man right here aided me and these others in preventing that entire town from being cursed by an affliction that could have killed people. Is that not worth anything in the eyes of the Lord?
Most of what that man just said is true.
Charles, please be quiet.
Well,
I thought you were supposed to gag prisoners.
oh, believe me, I now wish I had. One good deed does not undo the evil that this man has wrought upon this nation, I'm afraid. Now,
Sheriff, may I have one last word with Charles before you take him
anything
off
you
to
say
wherever you may be
Charles, you
taking him?
say in front of all of us.
It's more of a retrieving job. He has something that belongs to me.
I do not know what this man is talking
The dude throws back his duster to reveal a big, 6-iron on his hip. He's like, do not come one step closer.
Okay, I'll ask him to mail
Oh, he
it.
won't be doing any mailing. Come tomorrow, sun up, he won't be doing anything much at all. Charles,
Chef, do you mean to hang
first thing
this
in the
man?
morning tomorrow.
No, come on now. Let's be reasonable here. I really don't think we need to take this kind of action. Please, sir, at least let me plead my case. Isn't this not a land of law and justice and honor?
You
You
hear... to the rest of you, you hear that speech getting quieter and quieter as the sheriff has spun his horse and started riding back to town. And he's like, oh, don't you, isn't this a place of law and order? I must plead my case.
We're following,
Yeah,
right?
so
I'm
they're
following.
going
Is
back
everyone
to
else
the
following?
town. It's clear he's going to be put in the lockup, and they're going to hang him in the morning. So the posse has started to dissipate. One guy just points at Jackie Daniels to be like, I'm watching you, you strange individual.
I'll just gesture with a stick of dynamite back.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah.
And then put
okay,
it back in my
fine.
satchel.
He looks at you, he's like, "Ugh," and then, they ride back toward town.
Well, I have no particular affection. Even saying I have no affection may be too strong a phrase, but Charles does have that gold. So I suppose we should follow him, unless we wish to be rooting around in his pockets on the gallows.
Well, at the very least, the man deserves a trial.
I mean, I know Charles quite a while. I say let's just leave him.
Wow.
He got
That's what
himself.
loyalty does.
He can get himself out of this mess.
Howdy,
Howdy.
I thought you two were friends.
Yeah, very good friends.
What now?
I hate to see how you treat your enemies, Howdy.
Well, I know he's gonna get himself out of this. That man can get himself out of any situation.
He is not so far.
There's one thing that continues to concern me. It is the moral depravity of this here country.
Lowlies, you can have a Benny for very good friends, because that was hilarious. Okay, so yeah, it's basically what you're looking at here is McGinty's getting hanging in the morning. Ding dong, the bells are going to chime. So you can try and bust him out of prison if you like. You can, I mean, I guess just carry on talking forever and see if that'll change anything. It's entirely up to you what you do.
Let's argue about the gold again. Who's getting the gold?
You're just outside of town. Okay.
I would like to ride into town. And I would like to find the largest congregation of people that there is.
I'm gonna ride into town, but I don't know if you're galloping or what. I'm just making a slow pace back into town. So I might arrive into town like midway through whatever you're about to do here.
Going as fast as an old donkey can go.
Okay.
I think Jacka will sit down by a nearby tree, have a couple of sifters of whiskey, and then just take a long sigh and head back in as well.
Okay, so Pastor John Virtue has gone tearing back toward town with the holy purpose that he must
On a donkey?
sit on a donkey. Yeah, he really must save this poor wretch. Everyone else is just like they're it's the pace they set is barely a saunter. McGinty, meanwhile, this is a pretty familiar process to you. You have been thrown in a cell. It's like they've for the time being they've just thrown you in like the drunk tank. They've untied your hands. They have gone through your pockets and taken. Excuse me. They've taken everything. They've disarmed you. They've taken your gold. And yeah, you are now sort of just in the cells while the sheriff has his feet up on a desk and is just like he's taking his lunch now. Actually, he's just like shining an apple on his shirt and.
Now, I don't want us to get off on the wrong foot here, Sheriff. I respect men of the law and authority, and I'm sure you'll do a fantastic job here. But, you know, every sheriff has their own jurisdiction. You're a man of the people here. Surely you don't want to concern yourself with matters that are frankly not, they're not something you need to burden yourself with.
McGinty, do you have any idea how big the bounty on your head is now?
Well, last time I checked, it wasn't too bad, but maybe since Cincinnati, then I went down to Ohio, and the numbers, the specifics don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. After all, what is a man really worth? And I'd like to insist that I have at least some sort of public trial.
It's $3,000, McGinty. You're wanted dead or alive. And look, if I let you go, or if I give you a chance to sweet talk those people, and they demand that you go free, because you're one slippery devil, it ain't worth my job. I'd lose my 10 star. So, we're gonna give you a necktie. It's that simple.
Do you not believe a man can be redeemed?
He looks at you square in the eyes. Goes, no.
Well, I tried that avenue. Did you didn't. You didn't perhaps.
Plan B.
You didn't perhaps see that amount of gold you took from my person there, so I'm sure you don't need the specifics about how I may or may not have obtained that, but I can potentially give you the information to discover more gold.
Are you bribing me now?
Such a cruel, careless word. It's merely just a gift for a man who's worked so hard and doesn't get
Make me a
enough
persuasion roll.
recognition. Right, come on, baby. Come on, McGinty. This is all you get at. Okay, that was a 6. I rolled a 6 on my
Okay.
D6, and
So,
a
8.
2.
So it's a hit with a raise. He looks at you for a good long while. Keep talking.
Well, as you might have heard the pastor, holy man, say, we recently performed a service for this town that we're in. I don't know if you saw that old man come stumbling in through the tavern doors yesterday, screaming about some gold
Yeah,
he
old man
found,
Jenkins, yeah.
or before his untimely death. Well, we figured we might try and work out what happened to the poor soul. We followed some directions he'd left, and we stumbled across a supply of gold in a cave not far from here. Should be more than enough to keep a man such as yourself in the manner in which he is accustomed.
Where's the cave?
Can McGinty actually? Yeah, he's gonna ask. Do you have like a piece of paper or something to write on? I can draw you a map.
He goes to the desk and grabs a piece of paper. It's actually your own wanted poster, and you're like, oh, look at that, $3,000. Huh.
Yeah, that's the best. To be honest, that's a new record. How does he pass it through?
Just he slips it between the bars.
Can McGinty like grab his wrist, and say, "Now you won't be going back on me now, Sheriff. If I do this for you, you're not gonna make me walk to the gallows anyway, are you? You're man of honor, such as yourself.
Of course.
You will make me go to the gallows, or you won't make me go to the gallows?
I promise to do right by you, McGinty. That's a promise.
McGinty stares into his eyes. And then he's going to... God. Did he hand him a pencil or something?
Yeah, there's like a pen. He's got a pencil and paper there in his hand.
Okay. God, I've got to make a split
You've
decision
got 10
here
seconds.
I know! I've got 10 seconds. Okay, Charles is going to draw a version of the map that he was given. Can I like roll for like a check to remember if there are any other cave-like structures around this like area?
Make me a common knowledge check.
Okay, I've got a D. If I've got it but not highlighted, I always have a D6, right? But I would have a D4 in common knowledge because I don't have another. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. 4 on my D4.
Okay,
actually.
keep going. Roll it again.
That's a +1, so 5.
Yeah, that's a success. Yeah, you know about other caverns, like.
Okay. So Charles is going to he's going to take the paper and the pencil and he's going to draw a route to those caverns.
Okay. The sheriff takes that back. He looks at it and goes, "Oh, it's up there. Damn."
Yeah. I don't know how the old man managed to get his creaky old body up there, but we got that from the source and we found it, and safe to say, it's a tidy sum in there. You'll be set
You know
for
what,
life.
McGinty? This is fine work. In another life, you could have been a cartographer or something.
Well, when you have a bad start, it's very hard to find another way for yourself. But I'm hoping my new life will give me an opportunity to turn things around, but maybe I will become a professional cartographer.
The sheriff looks at you and just gives you a sad shake of the head. It's like, oh, McGinty.
Is there a joke that you're not sharing with me? Is there? I love jokes. I'm a very funny man.
And maps.
Really think I was gonna let you walk for a map to some gold?
Well, we had that agreement we just did there. I looked into your eyes, Sheriff.
You're really gonna lecture me about honesty now? Okay. He turns and starts to walk out of the office. You hear me yell, "Deputy! You hold the fort here now." And he leaves the office.
Damn it! Damn it! Blasting! Damn it! McGinty! You knew that was gonna happen. You saw it in his eyes. And he's just sat there like, yeah.
It's actually quite sad. Let's cut back out into the streets. John Virtue, you were trying to find a big crowd, were you not?
Yeah, I've got a soapbox.
That's
good. Well, do you want me to roll to see if I find a soapbox?
No, I think we can say that you found a soapbox.
No? Cool. I take my Bible out, which I've just made from a post-it note.
Oh my God.
And I start beating it to my chest, and I'm like, "People of America! That is, if this still is America, I must ask you a question." And I'm trying to sort of shepherd people in. How big a crowd can I get?
Make me a performance roll.
Oh, I don't have that.
I'll let you roll.
Well, what about faith?
Persuade? You can have persuade.
I'll do persuade. 6s.
Roll to cut promo.
I get to re-roll persuade because I'm charismatic. I should roll to go promo. I got 6. 7.
Okay. Yeah. You start to draw it starts off as a smallish crowd, as people just but then you get a few more people. You've drawn about a dozen.
I would like to remind you all of what was the old man's name?
Old Man Jenkins.
I would like to remind you all of Old Man Jenkins, a dear friend of mine and a member of my congregation, a man whose name I would never forget. Now, he lies in the dirt, in the sand, in the grit, here in this very town, because he died of an affliction. Now, I ask you, what is that affliction? Was it some common cold or virus? No. Was it perhaps some dirty drinking water he had? No. Now, this man died of ambition. This man dug out with his bare hands gold from them there hills over there because he had a dream, an American dream. A dream of... Well, now, you just wait, because there's other information that you don't have yet that I'm getting to, but I need to do the rest of the speech first. Now...
He was in the doit with the voice. Sorry, carry on. Carry on, Tweety Pie.
Oh, good. Sorry, the fart machine started as well. Now, none of you might know this, unless you were privy to our private conversations, but I and a few of my flock went out to those hills to investigate some strange curse that had been placed on that gold rock. Now, you might think that he had a bum ticker, so you might, but in fact, he died of that affliction, of that devil's touch. His heart was broken by the spirits that laid themselves down in the ground. They cursed that rock, and they've cursed every bit of gold up in that there hill as well. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, how do we know this is true, Pastor? Well, if you can find them, I'm sure they're somewhere around here, the rest of Charles P McGinty's friends will attest to this. We have been set upon by a devil worshiper. And this Charles P McGinty fellow that you just saw being dragged into the clinker, well, he was a good friend of mine who was helping us stop this in its tracks. And what is the thanks that he gets? The noose. Just like to gauge the reaction from the crowd.
Maybe another persuade roll. Okay.
5.
They're like, oh, the noose? Oh, like they're starting to warm up.
That's right, sir. Now, I know that there's a lot of bad stories about this Charles here. Now, some say that he is a huckster, or a common flagrant, some kind of swindler, as it were, a snake oil salesman. Yes, those are all true, but let me tell you, he is already in that position from birth because of the situation that this here town has placed him in. There is not a lick of money given to this town by the authorities, and yet they like to come on in here and tell us what to do with our lives.
That's pretty strong. Make me persuasion. You can have +2 to this because you're. Okay, they're like,
7.
yeah, that's right. I don't like tell me what to do. Carry on.
That's right, sir. You there on the back. They're telling us what to do. Not only that, they're telling us what to do with a bona fide hero of this town. A man who saved your life and yours and yours. Let me tell you, if you saw a big old rush of gold coming from that hill, would you not be going to take it? I asked you so. Would you not take gold from that hill if you thought it was going to make your life better?
Just which one was it again?
Well, now we'll get to that in a second. But the important thing is, if you'd taken that gold, you'd be as dead as old man Coots over there, whatever his name was. Now he is lying in the ground because of that dirt, because of that gold, but he was saved, or at least he could have been, like the rest of you, or Charles P McGinty. I wonder what his life would be like right now if Charles P McGinty had gone to that cave with me and my friends before this old man had laid down in the ground and been taken by the devil himself by that awful curse. Now, I can tell you what that cave is and where that gold is. I can tell you that. But first, I think it is only right that we let those lawmen know that we don't kill people that do the word of God, that save us from our sins, from our damnation. Do I have your agreement?
Can Jackie ride in at this point, having had a couple of drinks, see the pastor chatting away, and just like come to the back of the crowd and just kind of flatly say, "Yeah, that's right, pastor."
Yeah, I'm already at the back of the crowd as well. I came in kind of at the front of that last segment. Sorry,
I should have been clear. In a way as to like rile the crowd up, but with the minimal amount of effort. As in like, yeah, that's right. You're correct.
Okay.
Yes, I
Make me
agree.
a persuasion check, please, then, Matt. Well,
I don't have persuasion, but
you do. It's a core skill, I believe.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, I
Persuade should
haven't
be a
read it
core
down
skill.
here.
Let me just.
Yeah, you told us it was.
You get 4, I guess.
Okay, D4. I rolled a 4 on my D6.
That's a success. So, like, people look at you and they step away because you look awful and you smell terrible. They're like, yeah. You can have, Wills, you can have +2 to your next persuasion roll.
Is this
I think
the kicker
so.
now? Join me, people of... What's the town called?
Goopy Gulch.
Huh?
Goopy Gulch.
It's not
Goopy
called
Gulch.
Goopy Gulch.
I think I would have remembered if it was called Goopy Gulch.
It should be called
Uma,
Yeah,
Arizona?
we're in Yuma.
Is that where we are?
People of Yuma, rally behind this here Bible. Where is it? There it is. Rally behind this here Bible, because this is the word of God, and we will deliver his justice unto these lawmen. 6.
Was that on a D6 or?
I
okay,
rolled a
great.
4 and got a +2
Cool.
on a D6.
They're like, yeah. And someone starts chanting, "McGinty out! McGinty out! McGinty out!"
Yeah. Very
Well,
catchy.
hold on. Now, what about
McGinty
free McGinty?
out!
Oh no, never
And
mind.
they march to the sheriff's office and sort of crowd around it. The deputy who was left in charge, McGinty, you hear people chanting your name. It sounds like McGinty, ouch. You feel like there are people who have come here to sort of gloat over your impending death. But the deputy's like, what the heck? goes out onto the porch, and he's like, "Disperse, everybody! Disperse! Go to your homes!" And they're just still chanting. So Jackie and Howdy, you have noticed that Pastor John Virtue has whipped the crowd up into a righteous froth.
Not a fan of that
Hey man,
descriptor.
the Weird West was tough and weird, and frothy.
And frothy.
You sense that there is perhaps an opportunity brewing here. Will they seize that opportunity, or are McGinty's days finally numbered? Find out next week on Deadlands, the Weird West.